Minister, thank you so much for joining us here today. Tell us a little bit about your trip to Berlin. What have been sort of the key points of that?
Thank you for accepting me chat here this morning. The last 2 days in Berlin were great. We have managed to sign an agreement or an understanding with one of the greatest institutions in Berlin. Our main task really for the trip is to introduce our robot to the public. We are actually designing the first engineer worldwide to replace consultants in due course. And what we are actually introducing it for, we're introducing that robot to help us in design, check designs, check standards, check construction process, and the last is to probably look into the maintenance of physical structure. And that is the first time. We felt that we really need a backup or an umbrella. The Berlin Institute of Technology is having welcomed the idea, and we thought that it might be of a great help to have them along with us. But the actual formal signing of the memorandum of understanding was with the IARC, and that is the Robotics Association in the world. So that is why we're here.
Back at home, you're going to host a major event, the World Expo, in a couple of years. Talk a little bit about the preparations for that in particular, given your role from an infrastructure point of view. How is that coming along? What still needs to be done?
Things are going great, and we're getting closer and closer to the date. And what we intend also to do from our perspective in the Ministry of Infrastructure, we thought that there would be 3 major events that we can actually conduct during that year, because the year is very important to us. We have invited the hackathon to be in Dubai in the 2021, which would make it good to have. We also looked into the maritime event. There is also a huge event in the maritime that we'd like to have in the same year. So we are making that coverage as far as the infrastructure is concerned to the closer to the event.
I hate to ask about what happens after an event before it has even taken place, but have you given much thought at this point to what you do with these sites after the expo wraps up?
Definitely, there is a team that look after the before and after, and they definitely have plans to engage the site prior to Expo and also after Expo. So we're in the United Arab Emirates. We're least bothered about what would be taking place next, because Dubai and the United Arab Emirates is an icon for almost all events, infrastructure events, things similar to Expo, major activities take place in Dubai almost every day. We are actually in World Trade Center, for example, to book a slot for an exhibition. You would probably need some good 6 months for a booking. So Dubai, United Arab Emirates is a place where the market goes to, and we're capitalizing on that.
So the idea would still be to try and use the site for events?
I would believe yes. It is a great location between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and that is close to one of the most major airports that is being built up. and this operation now, Al Maktoum Airport. So I think such a location would actually be a place that can host many events.
You mentioned being a major aviation hub. Where are you at in this push to become the world's largest airport?
I'm not actually in the airport business. Maybe I can tell you about maritime.
Or from an infrastructure point of view.
Well, we are today. The Ministry of Infrastructure is actually looking at the infrastructure of the United Arab Emirates as a whole, which would include aviation, maritime, and so forth. Today we are number 5 worldwide as far as the infrastructure of the country in general. We are number 4 in the infrastructure of ports. We are number 1 in the quality quality of roads. So we are reaching that target drawn to us by the vision of the government.
When it comes to rail links, what are your plans there? There's been discussion about expanding the rail links, but then I think that was maybe put on the back burner for a little while. I'm not sure where things stand currently in terms of your plans for boosting the rail links in the country.
The railing, as far as we are concerned in the United Arab Emirates, we have looked into our portion some 6 years ago, and we executed over 266 kilometer of a rail network, waiting for other GCC countries to probably do the same, and then we will look into the whole picture. But we have promised that we would execute, and that is actually being operational. And there is a German company that operates that, the Deutsche Bahn.
You've completed a lot of infrastructure projects in recent years. What still needs to be done from your point of view?
Well, infrastructure is an issue that cannot be ended. Now, the minute you think that you've reached there, then you would collapse. But we're doing great as far as infrastructure so far. But today, with the AI technology, things change drastically. The AI, I have some numbers, would actually be looking into, if we look into the global market value of AI, it comes around $4 trillion. And that AI would actually change a lot of the infrastructure or the existing infrastructure. The new era is no longer the era that we've countered on worldwide. The new era is an artificial intelligence era. So we are. That is why we are looking into the new robot that we would introduce to the world today. We don't want to wait till the time comes and when we realize that we are a decade behind others. So we have to cope with it, prepare our plans for the infrastructure for the artificial intelligence, and we also become part of the players on the technology rather than technology users only. So with that, you really need to have your thought taken to some other infrastructure capabilities, some new givens in the infrastructure that you really need to plan for and look forward to execute.
How do you see the two coming together, AI and infrastructure? How do they interact with one another from your point of view?
Definitely today infrastructure would wipe much of our existing infrastructure. Would probably look into a new infrastructure, would introduce new jobs, would also introduce probably new curriculum to the colleges, would introduce new medical subscriptions. So in that, you really need to have that awareness. For that, you need a fresh mind for new infrastructure, for financial market, for construction industry, for rail, for medical operations, for education. So you have to have that open mind to accept the AI with what it takes. And by accepting it, you would really need to look into those jobs that would be wiped out and those jobs that would be introduced. And for the new jobs that you are introducing, you really need new infrastructure. You need new thought, new ideas. So that is where we are considering our infrastructure. In this morning, I was talking to a group in the Institute, Berlin Institute of Technology, to a group of professors and students. And I was actually telling them exactly the same point, that we introduce a robot today just to make sure that the knowledge is acceptable. The knowledge is being based on fundamentals rather than building technologies that are based on data. Much of our professors in the institution that were present today looked into the idea with a great value. So I think we need at some point to link the existing infrastructure with the future infrastructure.
All of these fantastic infrastructure projects that you've been doing are reliant in part upon the idea that we have global trade and that we have global growth. How concerned are you about a trade war, and what impact would that have on sort of the projects that you're looking at?
Unfortunately, I'm not a good forecaster in economy, to be frank. Nonetheless, I know the basics, and probably all we know the basics. The basics is the infrastructure for economic booming, or also for economic resetting. In our case, we know the value of education. We know the value of health. We know the value of almost all things that relates to people. But what relates to the economy is none of that. What relates to the economy is infrastructure. Today, if your readiness is yes for the infrastructure, with the infrastructure for the new wave of economy, you would definitely be ready. Your readiness would actually be there to accept a new boom, or to accept new fundamentals, or to accept a new investment on the country. The United Arab Emirates is well aware of the fact that there is a global dip in the economy, and with this dip, we're still building our fundamentals, and our fundamentals is infrastructure. Our people are aware of the fact that we should have that readiness to accept any economical boom again.
It's about being ready for whatever comes.
Exactly.
Minister, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.